Well, welcome everybody, and it's really exciting to share this Imbolc evening together, or midday, depending on which part of the world you're in. And we're really looking forward to our time. Anne and I will be interweaving and interflowing in the things that we'll be doing, and there'll be opportunity for you to partake and lots of opportunity to discuss and to reflect. So a big welcome, and we look forward to how this evening is going to unfold. Having said that, I'm now going to hand over to Anne, who will give us our initial introduction.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Hi, everyone. So we're here together to celebrate Imbolc. Imbolc is known as a fire festival because it marks the increasing warmth and power of the sun as the days start to get longer. Although it's still winter, we can see the signs of spring. So the snowdrops are out and the sheep are soon going to be giving birth to their lambs. These early signs of new life being nurtured and starting to emerge from the earth, even in the cold, are a large part of what we're celebrating. In fact, Imbolc is a Celtic word that can be translated as in the womb of the mother, so in the womb of the earth. Traditionally, water is also celebrated at Imbolc, especially wells and springs where the water is flowing up from the earth to cleanse and quench the thirst and to support new life. So that's a kind of a symbol of springtime as well. And Imbolc is personified in the figure of Bridget, a Celtic goddess of spring and fertility and life. She's a woman of wisdom and healing. In Christian traditions, Imbolc is known as Candlemas and celebrates Mary, the mother of Jesus, but also Bridget as the Christian saint. And Noel will be talking more about Bridget later on. Okay, so now we're going to join together in a response. Hopefully it will appear on the screen. Okay, so if everyone wants to join in with me. See, the winter is past. The rains are over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth. The season of singing has come. The cooing of doves is heard in our land. The fig tree forms its early fruit. The blossoming vines spread their fragrance. That's from Song of Songs. And then the Imbolc blessing. May the stirring of life underground stir new dreams into life within you. May the flames of inspiration and new growth be ignited within your being. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Sean now, to Noel, sorry, to Noel for the reflection.
Okay. Thanks, Anne. I'm just trying to. Okay. Now, one of the major themes of Imbolc is the sort of awakening after winter, the stirring of life, as we've said in our words together just now, as it's not yet spring, but you can feel spring on its way. And so a central feature, a central character alongside Bridget is Mother Earth herself. Now, we're Christian animists, and I'm sure if you've ever talked to people in a local church, very traditional background, about Mother Earth, I'll say, well, that's not a biblical concept. That's not something that we do. And traditionally, sadly, that is how it's been, that Mother Earth is not part of the vocabulary of traditional mainstream Christians. There are Christians, of course, who do use it, but they often feel they're a bit out on the edge when they do so. And I felt that it would be really great this evening if we could look together at a biblical basis for talking about Mother Earth. Now, tradition is true. Mother Earth isn't part of the Christian vocabulary, but biblically, although the phrase doesn't occur, it's absolutely everywhere. And I hope that's what can come through in what we're going to be looking at together this evening. And in doing so, and how much time there'll be to unpack all of this will be over to you, really, because I'm going to try and keep everything very tight. It touches on lots of different areas, and I want to just focus in on our theme, but all sorts of implications come, which we may find ourselves talking about together as the evening unfolds. Some years ago, I made an observation. I created a statement. Earth is our mother, together with God. And that was the statement. But in the silence that followed, I wanted people in their minds to be saying, who is also our mother. So Earth is our mother, together with God, who is also our mother. And we're going to get into that and explore that and see just how true I believe that is. Let's start with talking about Earth is Mother. Obviously, this theme will run all the way through, but we set our scene by the creation hymn, which is found in Genesis chapter 1, right through just tipping into the beginning of Genesis chapter 2. And what we see there very clearly at key moments in creation is Earth giving birth. We're told that Earth brought forth vegetation and plants and trees, that the waters bring forth fish, and at the same time, birds appear. Now, waters, in our understanding, of course, are part of the earth, sea, sky totality that makes up Earth. And so I think that statement needs to be included. And then a little later on, it says, Earth brings forth living creatures of every kind. So here are very clear, bold statements. And those phrases in italic, brought forth, brings forth, are euphemisms for birth. Just as we find in the early chapters of the Gospels, references to Mary bringing forth or brought forth the person of Jesus. So Earth is mother, Earth gives birth in creation. More of that, I'm sure, as we go on. Another thing that comes through very clearly in the biblical account is Earth is mother not just in giving birth, and in many ways in our life experience, this is the key thing, but is continually referred to nurturing life that she holds. Now, once you begin to see it, you'll see it everywhere across the biblical text, but I'm just choosing one verse because I want to just keep things as tight as I can. And so in Genesis 8, not too much further along, we're told, as long as earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Earth is the one, as our mother, who sustains us. Now, I want you, as we're going through our reflection together, to notice how Mother Earth, although she's not named like that, is central to biblical understanding. And when we move towards our final section together, where we look at Earth and Mother, all of this will come back again in much more specific detail. But for starters, Earth is mother. That is clearly affirmed in the biblical text. Now let's move to God is mother. I want to start still in the creation hymn of Genesis 1, but towards the end, words that I'm sure many of you are very familiar with. Elohim created the human in the divine image. Male and female, they were created. Now, I want us to focus on these words as a window into God, into the divine. Here we see in these words, creating male and female in God's image, the divine image, is a really important aspect of the whole mystery of divine nature. And of course, it opens the door to the much bigger subject, which we'll explore in other ways together this year or very soon, the whole idea of the divine feminine. But in terms of these words and in terms of God being mother, I want to just make 3 points about that little phrase. In technical biblical studies, that little phrase, male and female, is known as a merism. We have one right at the very beginning of the creation story where it says, God created the heavens and earth. That little phrase, heavens and earth, includes the totality of absolutely everything that is created. But merism takes two contrasting parts and names them to express the totality of the whole. Now, moving on from that, what we see in that little phrase is a declaration that God is genderful. So male and female as the contrasting aspects together refer to the whole array of possibilities as far as gender expression are concerned, which of course are very big issues in the world and in the church today. But that conversation, I'll just say what I've said, that God is genderful, and therefore God is as feminine as they are masculine, and every gender expression that is found within that spectrum. But for our purposes, it also provides a source for our understanding God is mother or God as mother to begin to flow. God is mother. And as mother, the biblical text makes it clear that there is a divine womb, God's womb. I don't know whether you've ever come across this, but the 4 sacred consonants that make up the name of God, the name that God gave to Moses when he was in the wilderness, God's unique name, which Jews refer to, and I actually speak of as Hashem, is written as a feminine noun. Now, it's interesting that because whenever you read it, almost certainly any of your translations is translated as Lord, the Lord. But the noun is feminine. Another reason why calling it simply the name is helpful. And this signifies the divine aspect of rachamim, mercy, which comes from the Hebrew word rachem, womb. So another way in which you could translate the word mercy or rachamim is womb love. God is mother as well as being father, and God as mother expresses womb love, mercy to us. Just 2 brief biblical references. Because Hashem, your God, is a merciful or wombish God. And you could bring in quickly the words of Jesus. Remember when he says, be merciful as your heavenly Father is merciful. I love that, because in the Aramaic, be merciful in the wombish way, or with the womb love that your Father has. I just love that as a statement. And then these words in Psalm 110, out of my womb, before the morning star, I bore or I gave birth to you. And there are other passages, well, that you can discover in your own time. So God is mother, and God, there is a divine womb. Moving on from that, in giving birth, we see the language of labor pains related to God as mother in in a number of places. Now, I have chosen just one text, which is Deuteronomy 32:18, Now, when you read this in your translation, it is unlikely that it will read like this, because it's one of those difficult verses that can be translated in a number or several different ways. But one translation that biblical scholars believe is possible is this, and it just blows my mind. So we've heard about the creation story in Genesis 1. God says, and this happened. God says, and that happens. Here we have, before the birth of the mountains, speaking of God, before the birth of the mountains, while you were in labor pains, giving birth to the earth and the world, from eternity unto eternity, you are God. What an incredible way of looking in on creation. God bringing creation into being, and the whole process engaging in labor pains, like a mother giving birth. I just find that amazing, and encourage you to reflect on it. And likewise, we also find God as midwife. Again, just one of a number of examples. God is the one, or God, the one who drew me out of the womb, the one who secured me on my mother's breasts. So God is a womb, God is in labor, giving birth, God is midwife as birth takes place. And then we come, as we said, with earth as mother, that she nurtures us, she cares for us, she sustains us. Well, the same is true of God's mothering, and there are a lot of verses that make this reference. And a really key place to start is with another title, another name for God, which is El Shaddai, the God who provides. Now, you have probably seen El Shaddai translated as God Almighty, or God the One, the God of the mountains. But Shaddai comes from the Hebrew root dai, which means to provide sufficiently. And also, the word Shaddaiim in Hebrew is for breasts. So here we have language where God is spoken of as mother, who feeds, who cares, who provides, who nurtures, who protects. So this image of the nursing, breastfeeding mother is hugely powerful. Now, again, as I said, there's a lot of passages you could look at there, but I've just chosen one, Isaiah 66:12, and when we get into it, knowing, if you know me at all, you'll know why I've chosen this one, that the nursing that God provides is like a river of shalom, like an overflowing stream of, like, the wealth of the nations. You may suckle as you are carried on her arm. Incredibly powerful image. So we've talked about God, earth is mother. We've talked about God is mother. And continuing with that, we take a slightly different angle here, because I want to sort of draw in the reference that Anne made to Bridget being an important figure as far as this festival is concerned. Another expression of the divine feminine in Scripture is in the person of Chokhmah Sophia. She is the incarnation of wisdom, and there's an astonishing amount in the biblical traditions as far as she is concerned. She is wisdom. Wisdom is Chokhmah in Hebrew and Sophia in Greek, so I call her Chokhmah Sophia. And here are just a few characteristics. Now, the wisdom references at the side come from the book of the Wisdom of Solomon in what Protestants call the Apocrypha. But we know that it inspired the early Christian community, and it says some amazing things about the divine feminine, and with a focus on Chokhmah Sophia very clearly. So she is wisdom, she is spirit like God, she is the image of God, she is the mother of creation. We'll come back to that. She knows all things, she renews all things, she upholds all things. Other really, really important characteristics. And also, if you read the book of Proverbs, particularly chapters 1 to 9, and also there's an amazing passage it concludes with in chapter 31, the astonishing personhood of God, of the divine, as wisdom, the mother figure, the feminine expression of the divine. Now, I want to move from there to a little chart that I've put together, which harmonizes some of the things. If you have a look at what is said in tradition about Bridget, and you look at what the biblical text says about Chokhmah Sophia, both are divine. Triple goddess, co-creator. Both inspire wisdom. Both are amazing craftswomen. Bridget, a metalsmith, Chokhmah Sophia, a stonemason, and much more. Both people helpers. Bridget's focuses on healing. Chokhmah Sophia's emphasis on hospitality for those in need. Both are wordsmiths. Bridget is a poet. Chokhmah Sophia is a prophet and a teacher. Both are linked to domestic animals. As Anne said at the beginning, the focus on cows and ewes and the milk to provide the young that is about to be born. Chokhmah Sophia more generally around farm animals, and then both are mothers. Bridget is the great mother, and Chokhmah Sophia is the mother of creation. There's lots more we could say, but that will just have to. There is a fascinating connection, and I find it intriguing. We may want to talk about that. Now, my little phrase is, Earth is our mother together with God. And all I can do here is highlight the fact that all the way through, when you look at creation taking place in the biblical text in different places, you see Earth as mother and God as mother flowing into one another in a mystical, mysterious intertwining. Now, I'm just taking one example and just one quote, but most of you will probably know the background. But what I'm asking you to do is, as you read the biblical text, look out for these amazing combined, shared ways in which creation takes place. So then Hashem formed the human from the soil of the earth and breathed into their nostrils the breath of life, and they became a living being. Now, as we move on, you're going to see how this kind of idea continues to unfold in different ways, because we're moving into our conclusion, which is Earth and Mother. We're going to talk about birth. And as we're reflecting, I ask you to sort of not just think, but sort of feel the ways in which the words we're going to be looking at speak simultaneously of or move seamlessly between a human mother's womb and the earth as our mother's womb. Now, some of the statements here are just so astonishing. You need to kind of just pick one or two and just think about them. But let's see what we can do. Let's work. Okay, Psalm 139. I'm sure many of you have heard this, where the psalmist says, I was knit together in my mother's womb, and then a few moments later, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Now, what was it? Was it in my mother's womb, or was it in the earth? Both. What's going on? Isaiah 51. Look at the rock from which you were hewn and the quarry from which you were dug. That's very earth. And that sort of earth womb language that you'll find in other places. and to Sarah, was the wife of Abraham, who gave birth to you. Moving on from the womb, let's reflect on the womb and the tomb. We're told in Genesis 3, until you return to the womb out of her for whom you were born. Job 121 is really astonishing. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. So the womb of the woman who gave birth to Job, and the earth, the one in who he will be buried, are seen as flowing seamlessly together. And burial in the earth is like returning to the womb of his human mother. I mean, it's difficult, you know, these are kind of statements you just need to think of. There is something going on here which is just so astonishing. And then going to Sirach, or this again is in the Apocrypha, from the day they came out of their mother's womb until the day they return into the mother of all. The human mother, the mother of all, here being Mother Earth. Let's stick with this imagery and pick up a word that is widely used in the scriptures. Sheol, traditionally the place of the dead. Literally, it means in Hebrew a hollow. Jesus, interestingly, calls it the heart of the earth. It says where he's going to go when he dies before the resurrection. Should we, this is the question I'm asking you, should Sheol also be understood as the womb of the earth? And I think we've already been given some clues about that in what we just looked at. Jonah, did he die and was he resurrected in the belly of the whale? Well, that's an interesting discussion. But he says, I called for help from the womb of Sheol, and you heard my voice. And then Job 38, this is God speaking to Job. Tell me, who contained the waters of the sea when they burst forth from the womb, which of course is the earth. And then moving on, because in biblical tradition, the resurrection, we're told in Isaiah 26, O dwellers in the soil, awake and sing for joy. For your dew is a radiant dew, and earth will give birth to those long dead. So we talked about earth giving birth to the previously unborn child, and here we have earth giving birth yet again at the resurrection to those who have been long dead. Come back to Bridget again, and just three references which tie her in. I love this picture. I couldn't resist using it. Bridget being a fiery-haired Celt, and Eve being a woman of color. We have Earth, we have Eve, we have Bridget. We're told in the Genesis story, the man named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all living. Now, I'll tell you something, biblical scholars don't know what to do with that phrase, the mother of all living, because it reaches back so clearly to the concept of Mother Earth. Hopefully, I've given you enough to work with to say, well, fine, that's not a problem. But a lot of commentators don't even refer to it because they don't know what to say, because they don't have an understanding of Mother Earth. And then we're back to Sirach, talking about Earth as mother, until the day they return to the mother of them all. And then we have Bridget, who's also referred to as the mother of all things. If you go to the Druid website. It opens with a poem by this North African writer, Lucius Apollusian. And he, in his poem, refers to Bridget as the mother of all things. So I find that a really exciting link. So let's draw this to a conclusion. Earth, Eve, and Elohim. Eve is the mother of all living. Earth is the mother of them all. Elohim is the mother of creation. So here we see between Earth and Eve and Elohim, and remember we said Elohim involves the female and the male. There's the wonder of the womb, femininity and fertility, life and life-giving, all flowing together in this single, inseparable reality within the mystery of the sacred feminine. At the heart of each woman are Mother Earth and the divine soaked universe herself. On an evening when we're celebrating Imbolc, I just find this hugely inspiring and exciting. I wanted to close with these words in Romans 8, which again you're probably very familiar with, as they take Mother Earth and creation forward. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revelation of the children of God. The whole creation herself will be set free from their bondage to decay to obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. Know that the whole creation has been groaning in labor pains until now. Now, in the light of what we've been looking at, I find those words incredibly powerful and incredibly significant. I won't make any more comment because time has gone, and you can reflect and come back if you want to, either in your own time or as we continue on this evening. Okay, it's over to Anne now. Try and come out of the screen.
Okay, thanks for that, Noel. Sean, are we going to be able to go into breakout rooms? Yeah, okay. So I think you're going to be put into breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. And in the breakout rooms, if you can talk about what you thought of Noel's talk, and if there was anything in particular that resonated with you in what he shared, or any comments generally that you had about what was said, that'd be great. And then we'll come back for a bit and share. You can share what you discussed. Okay.
Over to Anne.
Cool. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I was wondering if anyone would like to start with a comment or a question for Noel about the talk. If you don't want to say it, you can put it in chat as well, because I've got the chat.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll say something. I thought it was really helpful, actually. Lots and lots of food for thought, and lots of references that I want to look up. But I just find it very helpful, just the idea of looking at the sort of feminine aspects of God as well, as a woman particularly. So thank you very much for that.
Well, thanks. And I mean, it was looking at God as mother is obviously just one that hold divine feminine is in itself such a huge and increasingly exciting way. So thank you. Yeah, it's, I feel a bit strange, you know, as a man being so enthusiastic about it, but I just feel that the divine is just been sold short all my life, and I'm 77 years old, and I'm trying to do something to kind of get the conversation going. And of course, I've learned a lot from many women, you know, who've written and that kind of thing on the subject, which has been really helpful. I find women rabbis a really, really exciting read from the Hebrews perspective. But yeah, so that's in, you know, if you want to Google women, female rabbis, then that's really worth your time. Absolutely excellent. But thank you.
I hope that we might be able to get a copy of those slides so that we can digest it at more length. I was particularly interested in the references in wisdom.
Yes, I mean we're recording tonight, so that will be up on hopefully on YouTube. So you'd be able to go back and check them out fairly easily. I would think that's the best shot. I mean, obviously we're not in a position to be able to let you have a copy of the PowerPoint and that, but I mean, I have copious notes which will eventually find their way. I'm in the process of trying to write 2 books on Christian animism, and they'll find their way into those eventually. But if you're desperate, just send me an email. My email is really easy to remember. It's noel@moles.name. People sometimes say, is that really an email? Well, try it. You'll find me. But so I could, I'll if you just use it for your own study, then I'd be happy to let you have some notes. Okay, but I'll let you, you need, rather than sending them out to everybody, you contact me, and then I'll let you have a copy. I'll send a PDF for you. All right.
Thank you. I froze before before I went to say something else, which was the bit in, when you referenced Sophia in wisdom. It reminded me of that passage in Colossians. It's a description of Jesus. He holds all things, and in him all things hold together. And it seemed to correlate with that.
Well spotted. And in fact, there's a whole. I've got it. I don't know whether it's in these notes, but I have a set of notes where I've set out Sophia, Hokma Sophia, and I've got them. Her divinity, how she's like God and how she's like Jesus, and those are exactly those are the echoes that come through, which I find really, really exciting. It's just brilliant. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. Is there probably got time for one more? If anyone's got anything else to add?
I'm
just
curious.
To say oh, sorry, Sean. That's all right.
I was just curious if anybody was making connections between sort of Noel's presentation and what's going on in the earth right now in your locality, as you know. I mean, here in Turtle Island, it's still deep winter, and yet I know in some parts of the UK there are signs of spring. I'm just wondering if there was any reflections on that among the group. And if not, Joe, what were you going to say?
I think, answering that question, Sean, certainly. More so for me, less about necessarily the locality, but that just globally in terms of environmental issues, and and thinking about kind of like the messages of XR and people like, we watched a really good film the other night called Finite, which is, is a really positive film about activism, but really scary stuff about how we're treating the planet, and the kind of, the patriarchal, the capitalism and patriarchy are kind of connected, so inextricably linked, and it's that kind of attitude really that's got us into this mess. So yeah, the kind of antidote to that, or the what we've been talking about in terms of the divine feminine and the need for that different type of approach to how we live, really is what, I mean, everything that Noel said really resonated. I was just saying to Jenny, I took photos because I know it's going to, it's recorded and everything, but I like to kind of go back and look at those, go over those references and go back to the Bible and have a read. And we were both saying as well, we have the inclusive Bible, which I think was one that you actually recommended, Sean, a while ago. So that's good, but it's still slightly different language to Noel's kind of going right back to the roots. So yeah, and we had other lots. We got onto lots of other things, but that needs to be another session, I think, of questions. But particularly about humans being made in God's image. That was one thing that I really struggle with. So maybe we could talk about that another time.
Absolutely, love to.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks, Noel. Thanks, Sean.
Aglaia, you've got your hand up. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think for me, I found the whole gender full language actually a little bit scary. I was just getting inspired by the idea of Earth as kind of, I guess Earth as mother, although even that I was beginning to think, oh, can't we be gender less? And rather than being gender full, can we not have an image of gender less? And also talking to Rebecca helped me think, actually, the way I feel as a Christian of, I don't know, 35 odd years, probably longer, I feel I want to move in the direction of seeing God in the earth a lot more. So those passages about the earth being strewn out of rock and those types of things, I was thinking, oh yeah, I used to see those as symbolic, but I want to work on them much more as not just symbolic of something, but more than that, where, I suppose the rock is alive or whatever. And it's I guess it's I don't know why I'm here where I am. I haven't looked at it too much, but I find that more inspiring at the moment, and I'd rather think of a genderless divinity.
I mean, there are whole implications to God being gender full, which we didn't even have a chance to sort of engage with. And I'm certainly hearing what you're saying, and I know that when I've been talking to people who are part of the LGBTQ community, they find that understanding really, really helpful, because they see God, very much embracing who they are, because they are naturally who they are. And the binary, it smashes the binary pattern that we've been presented with. There's quite a lot in that I didn't even begin to have a chance to unpack, which if you were interested, then we could do it. But
it keeps putting the human above at the top of the food chain, though. I keep thinking that somehow that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, but I believe actually ultimately it embraces the whole of creation, because gender runs through the whole of creation. And I think so I absolutely take, if it's reinforcing hierarchy, then it's being presented wrongly. So maybe I need to sort of reword or rework bits of what I presented this evening to sort of draw that out more. So I think you're making a really, really important point. And I mean, I'd love to have more conversations around it and hear what others of you think. But obviously tonight's not the time. Yes, there's some quite amazing things. Interesting thing, as far as my research goes, the idea of the God being gender full comes from a Samoan indigenous Christian woman, and quite with a name that I have to have in front of me to even be able to pronounce it. It's very one of those long names, but wonderful. And that's provoked that conversation and that phrase. So it comes from an indigenous community. So that I found really, really moving as well. But thank you. Yeah, and let's embrace Earth in her fullness.
Cool. Okay, thank you. That was a lot of insights and wisdom there. It's been really an enjoyable evening. Thought maybe we could just bring it all together with a few poems. No, have you got the slide?
I'm just trying to
okay.
Bring it on screen if I can. Hang on, where are we? Sorry about this. There we are. That's right.
Okay. So maybe if I read this one and then we read them, or is that the second one? No. Okay. Yeah, maybe we can just say them both together. So, a sleeping world emerges to new possibilities, weakening winter's icy grip, and birdsong and bleating lambs announce to all the promise that in due season creation bursts into life. And whilst leaves that fell in winter lie upon the ground, soon to feed the earth in nature's wondrous cycle of death and rebirth, within the tree is a stirring of new growth. Okay. And then a declaration. So if we all say this one together. I am the unopened bud. I am the blossom. I am the life force gathered to a crest. I am the still companion of the silence. I am the far-flung seeker of the quest. I am the daughter gathered in wisdom. I am the son whose questions never cease. I am the dawn light searching out glad justice. I am the center where all things find peace. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Great to see you. See you again soon, I hope. Love and shalom.
Peace be with you all. We're going to have I'm going to stop recording now.